If you were like me, you didn't have much hope for this season and the Breaking Point gear set, which is dedicated to rifles. But I have something that's going to change your mind. Probably the best rifle build in the game for Year 6 Season 1. Why? Because it gives you incredible damage and DPS while also doubling as a team support build. Welcome to the Rifle Wingman build. Let's get to it. Okay, I want to show you the build as usual straight away, but before I do, let me just talk to you real quick about the Breaking Point gear set so that we're all on the same page. So Breaking Point is dedicated mostly to rifles, but it also helps some marksman rifle builds as well. But you get rifle damage, marksman rifle damage, headshot damage, and weapon handling. The talent is called On Point, so hitting a shot with a rifle grants a stack. Max stacks is equal to the weapon's magazine size. So reloading will grant 2% weapon handling and 4% weapon damage per stack for 10 seconds. So for example, one of my weapons has 20 rounds. So that's gonna give us 40% weapon handling, which is pretty darn good, and 80% weapon damage. And that's all gonna last for 10 seconds. And then you cycle that all over again. Build your stacks, reload. It's equal to the number of hits. So even though your weapon might have 20 rounds in the mag, how many of those shots did you actually land before you reloaded? And that's your true buff. There are no stacks while the bonuses are active, but when the timer runs out, it will refill your magazine, which is very nice. And then switching weapons also refills the magazine. But when you're playing with rifles and when you're in really intense moments, you're not really paying attention to that detail, I find. In your muscle memory might have you reloading anyways, even if you're getting a free reload. Just something to think about. When this was tested at the end of last season, we sent the devs a lot of feedback, mostly that we didn't really like the damage cycling because you're gonna be like really strong and then really weak, really strong and then really weak. That makes it so that this gear set doesn't really work with just any rifle or any build. You really have to think it through on which weapons actually make sense with this. And there's a slim few. So here's the deal. If you're an adamant rifle user, if you say rifles are your #1 weapon in this game, then this is the gear set for you. It's better than a high-end. It does offer more utility and enough damage to compete with high-end builds. Whether that damage is cycling or not isn't that important, but what is important is establishing your base build for Breaking Point. What I mean by that is your build already has to be strong with Breaking Point. You have to have a strong rifle with strong talents and strong contributing attributes. So that way, On Point, Breaking Point's 4-piece buff, takes you from strong to godly, and then you fall back to strong, and then go to godly, strong, godly, strong, godly. Because what you don't want to do is go from strong to weak. It's going to be very disappointing, and you won't have the survivability when you need it in those critical times, because you don't really have control of those buffs. They're just cycling through. So for those of you that really love rifles in this game, this gear set is for you, and just keep those pointers in mind. Now, if rifles aren't your main weapon and you're saying, I want to go into this mission with the best DPS tool in the game, then Breaking Point is probably not going to be your answer. Your choice is really going to be, is it rifles with Breaking Point or is it striker with assault rifles? And striker with assault rifles is going to be a lot easier and a lot more consistent. And at the end of the mission, you're going to be putting out a ton more damage than Breaking Point. So even though striker doesn't provide all that added utility that Breaking Point potentially adds, so when you're comparing Breaking Point with striker, it's tough because you're like, well, you know, I could use Breaking Point because I get all that free reloading and extra weapon handling, but it's just not enough to get you to choose it over a striker. Outside of that, you're looking for rifles that really are differentiated, that can't be paired up with striker, but offer a lot of value. One of those is the Doctor's Home Exotic M1A. Now, the reason why this weapon really stands out as one of the best weapons to run with Breaking Point is because it's providing utility, unmatched utility to you and your team. So you're buffing your team and you can't pair it with striker. Not really. That gives you an excuse to run Breaking Point. So the best gear set for Doctor's Home is Breaking Point because it's built for rifles. So it's going to buff your Doctor's Home rifle and make you super strong while you're buffing your team. And so you have a reason. Hey, why aren't you running striker? Well, it's because I want to give me and my team 10% armor on kill. And you don't even have to leave cover. And at the same time, you're delivering serious DPS. And you might say, well, you can run it with ongoing directive. Yeah, but in Legendary, ongoing directive doesn't really work that great because it's based on status effects, and applying status effects to legendary enemies when you're not a status effects skill build, something like Eclipse Protocol, can be tough. They wear out fast and you don't have the skill tiers to really rely on your skills to be effective. But it's possible. You can. Then you have True Patriot, which is also great to pair up with the Doctor's Home. But True Patriot is more of a defensive set. So if you're looking to be more of a contributor on the DPS side, then Breaking Point is going to be the one. So Breaking Point is great because you can be a strong rifle DPS build and at the same time contribute to your team's survivability by running the Doctor's Home. It's a very unique case and it makes a ton of sense for Breaking Point. Perfect segue to the build I bring to you. This is a rifle DPS Wingman build. Are you not familiar with our Wingman series? Well, let's get you up to speed. This is our rifle DPS Wingman build. A Wingman build is a build that supports your team while being a contributor to the DPS side. So it's different than just a team support build. Something like Eclipse Protocol, which also deals a little bit of damage, true. But Eclipse Protocol is mostly a team support build like a healer build is. But you yourself aren't putting any numbers on the board when it comes to damage. Now, a Wingman build delivers team support in multiple ways, but at the same time keeps you as a serious contributor to damage. And this is why I say this is the best build for Breaking Point. It starts with the very unique weapons, the stage left. Now, mine's not God rolled all the way, but this is an absolute amazing weapon with Breaking Point. So I ran the C79 scope, which gives you the variable zoom. And then I got +5 rounds. We got crit chance everywhere. And then damage to targets out of cover and perfect sledgehammer. This is amazing. Okay, so dealing damage with a grenade applies a mark on targets. Targets with marks will take 40% more damage to armor and have a 30% less movement speed. Marks will disappear after 10 seconds. 40% more damage to armor is a weird language, but this is a special damage. It's not actually damage to armor. Look at that RPM, 350 with 20 in a mag. That's amazing. The other weapon we're using is the Doctor's Home, 350 RPM with 15 in the mag. It's definitely got a ton more damage. I got a little bit of expertise on mine. I definitely recommend putting 12% expertise on both of these rifles if you can. And then damage to targets out of cover, and this one's really cool. So we're using both rifles. We're swapping weapons. Remember, you get the free reload when you swap weapons. So shooting an enemy with this weapon will apply a mark for 5 seconds. If a marked target is killed by you or your teammate, it will give a 10% armor repair kit or armor on kill to everybody in your party. So everybody gets armor on kill, whether you kill them or your teammate does. So you just go around marking fools, killing them, and everybody's healing. So basically, you start off with your stage left, you huck a grenade, and then switch weapons to the Doctor Home. It's an amazing way to play. Very easy. You're gonna wanna run Survivalist. One of the things that might have popped in your head is, oh, grenades suck in this game. True, facts. But Survivalist gives you the fire grenade, which gives you this giant pool of fire. So any enemy that walks into it, whether right when you throw it or later walks into it, because it stays for a while, right? So they can walk in and out of it. Enemies that weren't intended to be targets could walk into it later and take damage. So this is an amazing grenade for this. And it doesn't really matter how much damage it applies. It's just the fact that it applies damage and then Sledgehammer kicks in and you can switch weapons. So once Sledgehammer is active, you can switch to the Doctor's Home and the Sledgehammer timer stays on them. Activate Sledgehammer, switch to Doctor's Home as soon as you can. There's nothing wrong with staying with Sledgehammer, but you're trying to give your team armor on kill also. And as another way to support the team, we're actually using the crossbow. If you didn't know, the crossbow is a great tool for legendary and breaking Chunga's chest plates. So take a second to whip this out, launch an arrow at those Chungas right in the chest plates, and help your team burn them down even faster. Okay, the next key piece is going to be the collector chest. So the collector chest is nice because it's giving you crits to complement your build, because this is a crit rifle build. It's all about the grenade. So you're getting more grenade capacity, you're getting more grenade radius, more grenade damage, and extra damage for every enemy taking damage caught in the blast. So anyways, automatically regenerate a grenade every 30 seconds if you have less than 2 grenades. So basically, you're never really going to run out of grenades. Going into a room, you always will have 2 grenades, because the idea is to catch them at their spawns. So when a door opens and they come running out, you want to have your grenade timed for that moment. It made rooms extremely easy doing this. So I hooked up in Legendary. That's the gameplay you're watching in the background. I started solo and then players came in as we were progressing, and it made rooms extremely easy. I'm sure they appreciated this. Okay, before we get into the gear set, the knees, I decided to go with the Fox's Prayers to give myself more damage. So I got rifle damage, damage to targets out of cover, and crits, and a red core. So I am running an all red build. You don't really have to. I just didn't see the case to actually run armor for this build, but I'm running double heals. So I got the Mender Seeker Mind that comes with Survivalist. This is really nice. And it's also healing my team. So it goes around and heals your allies without you having to do anything. Another way to add survivability to your team. You're doing crowd control with the fire. You're doing mega damage buff with Sledgehammer, and you're providing armor on kill from your Doctor's Home, and you're providing additional heals from your Mender Seeker. And then on the other side, I just ran the Fixer. You could also put a Reviver Hive there. The Doctor's Home is getting you some nice armor on kill, even if your team is killing that marked target. I'm running the Breaking Point mask. I have crits everywhere. The Breaking Point holster has crit damage. The gloves has more crit damage. And I decided to go with the Breaking Point backpack here, which I have crit chance on, and the talent's called Point of Honor, so increase on point weapon damage bonus from 4% to 6%. So another 2% weapon damage there. Stats-wise, I'm at 55, 120 on the stage left, and the Doctor's Home, I'm 40, 122. So a couple of quick scenes here. I just really want you to hone in on how fast these very difficult rooms are going down. Thank you for hanging out with me today. My name is Tuxedo Bandido, and this was another episode of The Division 2. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The Division 2. And if you like builds like this, check out the recommended build video I have here for you. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Follow me.
I get it.